So with that being said, we do have ourselves the potential return.
Let's hear this transition.
The potential return of an all-timer. You got it. You got it.
Speaking of landing strips.
We have a return of an all-time great. Nick Saban, who walked away from Alabama. I mean, I would say still with, plenty left in the tank, but decided, this whole NIL stuff and everything else that's going on in that world, I'm out. I'm going to go ahead and get into the media, and he's been fantastic. Even had a nice little fun back and forth with Shane Gillis last year, which a lot of people talked about. But apparently there's been some speculation maybe he would consider returning to coaching. Greg McElroy was talking with Paul Feinbaum yesterday on the McElroy and Kublik in the Morning show and had this to say.
Very much in the know person that I have a lot of respect for and have spent a lot of time around and just really, really admire. They seem to think Nick Saban's not done coaching. But he's pretty adamant that he thinks Nick Saban will be coaching again. Do you buy that?
No.
That's what I said.
All right. So that is Paul Feinbaum talking with Greg McElroy about the potential return of Nick Saban. I mean, why would he? Honestly, at this point.
I'll say this much. Bill Belichick taking the North Carolina job, I mean, everything's open. That's still, to me, like him not finding another place in the NFL and coaching in North Carolina, it just blows my mind. When I think about how we'll look back on this, how history will be written about the end of Bill Belichick's time coaching football, that an NFL franchise didn't want to sign up for a guy who has been that successful, it's crazy. So if that can take place, there's no doubt in my mind that I think Nick Saban, who was frustrated, it seemed like, with the current state of college football, might say, well, college football is evolving into this professional model. Well, the NFL is already there. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels like at times every single offseason we go through this hiring cycle, and there's not a ton of candidates that you're really wowed by. I mean, Ben Johnson was the belle of the ball. Vrabel. Who else were we looking at as saying? I mean, Bill Belichick was would have been those other guys we would have thought would have been hired. I mean, there'd be retreads half the time.
Liam Cohen,
I guess, was the other one, a great offensive mind, and we'll see how that turns out. But I look at it and say, if you're a NFL franchise, wouldn't you kick the tires on this guy? Do you know how many guys went down to Alabama to reinvent themselves? Brian Dable's head coach of the New York Giants. He went down to become a play caller, learned a lot, grew a lot, ended up finding his way back up in the NFL, and the rest now is kind of history. But very similar to Bill Belichick or even Sean McVay, how coaches go there, they kind of reinvent, figure some things out, and they come out shinier and better on the other side. That's what Nick Saban was too at the college football level. And it happened with some guys who went on to the NFL. So why not? Why couldn't Nick Saban, who's got experience in the NFL, probably would have went differently had they got a different medical opinion on Drew Brees' shoulder. And who knows how we're talking about the Dolphins now / Nick Saban and his tenure in the NFL, or Alabama for that matter.
I mean, when you get time off, you get an opportunity to think about, do you want to be at home? What the landscape looks like on each level. I mean, there's probably been moments where Nick Saban misses coaching the game, misses the meetings with the coaches, misses the locker room with the players, misses the practice field. He did scratch the itch to go to the pros. He did go back to college. He is one of the most successful coaches of all time. I would be curious, does he look at what Bill Belichick did by going into the college level? They're friends. I'm sure they have dialogue, in terms of what he's planning on doing. I wouldn't be shocked if Bill Belichick isn't getting a ton of information and notes from Saban as it applied to how he had success at the college level. I would say the biggest, to me, the biggest thing for Nick Saban is he has a very distinctive way of coaching, and he has a very distinctive approach. I don't know if it's not obsolete in college. And at the pro level, I don't know that you can coach the way that Nick Saban coaches. It wasn't a bust of an opportunity for him at the Miami Dolphins, but it certainly wasn't great. I mean, he did all right, went right back to college. I just don't know that the way Nick Saban coaches would be conducive to him being able to keep players. How do you handle the portal? It's not just going to be the money. It's going to be how these players feel about the people that are coaching them. I just think his standards are so high. And this is this is a very, very sad thing to have to say. I think his standards and the way he holds his guys to that standard is so high. I don't know that in this climate, in this NIL era, that he would be able to have that type of success. I think guys would transfer out and look for easier situations than what they would have with Nick Saban.
I think if he were to come back, I think he'd be more interested in the NFL. And look, I mean, if we're going to kick around some potential landing spots, I mean, Brady mentioned the quarterback situation didn't really work out in Miami the first time around. If something happens, Tua's there. He coached him in college. Maybe that would be of interest. Maybe he feels like that would have been a better result had he had somebody he knew and trusted back when he was coaching the Dolphins. Because LaVar made the point, they weren't bad. It's not like they were. He was a disaster as a coach. He just had a better opportunity, wanted to go back to Alabama or go back to college, and took over the Alabama gig. But who knows? Maybe he looks at the Dolphins after this year, if they move on from Mike McDaniel, and now all of a sudden he gets to coach Tua again. Maybe that's a possibility. I just can't imagine he would go back to college, giving up what he had at Alabama just to go back a couple of years later. I just don't know how he would get a better situation than what he had when he walked away from it.
I don't think there's any reason for him to come back. If he left based off of how he felt, like going to the pros is like, I don't know, man. I think the pros is a different animal than coaching college.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's getting closer to the same now with the way things are happening in college. Because I think there's a lot of things that coaches have to deal with at the college level now, whether it's in regards to NIL or even just the uneven landscape. I mean, hell, we can't even figure out an expanded playoff format. So maybe he doesn't want to deal with that. Maybe he'd rather go to the NFL, which has a lot more stability in that sense. But can I just explain my disappointment in LaVar this morning?
Oh, no.
Usually when we talk about a guy getting back into coaching or a player getting into coaching, usually you go with a standard response for that. And you did not do that this morning, and I'm very disappointed.
What would my standard response be?
He don't want to be at home.
He don't want to be at home.
He doesn't want to be at home.
Let me tell you something about Nick Saban.
Hey, hold on. He spent some time away.
He loves his wife.
Uh-oh.
Hey, bro, you heard me say, though, but you heard, so there's like there's that intersection where you can go onto the highway, or you keep going straight, you're on the local roads, or, you take a different. At that intersection where I said you get a chance to be at home and you decide if you want to be at home, I don't know if you guys ever been around Nick Saban and his wife, but I happened to have the pleasure of being recruited by him to go play for the Dolphins when I was a free agent, and I spent 2 days with him and his wife. We went on dinners and stuff like that. Dude really loves his wife, man. Like, he is all the way into his wife. I believe he calls her mama and she calls him papa. I believe that's the lingo they use. So it's not – Nick Saban's not leaving for the same reason some of these other coaches be looking out there like, why am I here? Why did I even marry you? Like, these dudes be looking at their chicks. Oh, yeah. Keep it a buck. But I don't think that one exists here. Not for Saban. I think he really enjoys being around, his person, which is really good. But some of these dudes, I got to get the hell away from her. I got to get away from her. I got to get away from these ugly ass kids we made. Like, I got to get away. I got to get away, and I got to go do something with myself. So I'm gonna go back and I'm a coach. And I'm going to get the attention I want to get, and I'm going to feed my ego, being a coach, and I don't have to be at home. And I can say I don't have to be at home. I don't know. That's what some coaches do, though. So that is standard.
So when you hear coaches talk about these, 18-hour work days, that's just avoiding home, right? That's just they just don't want to be home. Because you can't, and I think Bruce Arians has made this point, you should be able to get everything you need to get done as a coach in the amount of time that you have. You don't need to be sleeping in the office. You don't need to be missing all these events. So
you really don't.
I mean, I just wonder if there's something to that maybe they're just hanging out.
I'm not trying to be funny. Why do you think I'm trying to? Y'all think I'm trying to be funny? That's not a bit. That's the truth.
I just didn't know that coaches in the NFL thought their kids were ugly. So that's why I was laughing.
Not?
I didn't know that.
I mean, their job is to evaluate and to discriminate. Why wouldn't they know their kid is ugly? Ugly ass kid.
Damn.
Well, real quick, if he comes back, let's put a cap on this. NFL or college?
NFL.
I think NFL too.
I don't think so.
I think
it would be college. Yeah, I think it.
Okay.
I think his superpower is dealing with college aged, that demo. I think he's good there.
Where?
Like I said, them older dudes and the pros, I think it's harder to get them in the space that Nick Saban would want to get them into. I think just the way his style of coaching is, I think it would be a lot more difficult for him to navigate it. And why would he need to even try to do it? I think it would be more feasible to think that he would do it at the college level and try to figure out who could take on the weight of what he would have to, what they have to deal with agents and NIL and stuff like that. I don't think he want to have anything to do with that.
I just don't. He had such a good, solid gig going at Alabama. He could have coached there for as long as he wanted, and he didn't want that anymore.
I don't know, man. I think he got out of the way because, understanding what it's going to look like is one thing. If you can approach something and you know what it's going to look like, you have a chance to have success. I don't think Nick Saban knew or knows still, maybe even now, what college is going to look like in this NIL era. And I think he felt like, let me get the hell out of the way because I don't want that to be a part of what I have going on. I think so. So my whole thing is if he's looking at it and saying, you know what, maybe if I do get me a GM or a person that can handle this aspect of it, maybe if I can have this under, I don't know. I would think that would be the more feasible of the two, but I don't think he'd even want to risk that. After the career he's had, I don't even think he'd want to come back to do that, to be honest.
73 years old. So, maybe.
I don't think he gets the itch.
By the way, he's a great analyst. Him and Belichick
he's incredible.
Are great.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah, they both do a good job.